The member for Moreton.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm proud to support the motion put forward by the member for Ford. We work together on a unity ticket when it comes to supporting football, and I echo his comments about the great work that Football Federation do, both at the sporting level but also on the community program level, both in health, in reaching out to members of the community that need a helping hand in so many ways. And start up front by mentioning that comment that how surprising it is how much things have changed since when I was a kid, where we now have more girls playing football than are playing netball. With all credit to the Football Federation for the great grassroots programs that they have. It's been called the world game in many other countries, but now it is even starting to take on that tone here in Australia. And I say that with all respect to rugby league and rugby union and Aussie rules and all the other codes. But football obviously played in more countries around the world, and now the Australian teams can hold their heads up high. Before I became a Member of Parliament, I'd never really kicked a round ball. That changed down on the Senate Oval under the guidance of Senator Stephen Conroy and many other MPs who've changed me from being a rugby league player to now a rugby league player who plays football. And I particularly note the member for Ford in his role as goalkeeper, who we keep particularly busy whenever there is a game going. So football, in terms of its international popularity, we see that the FIFA World Cup is the most widely viewed sporting event in the world, exceeding even the Olympic Games. That puts it in context. Here in Australia, football or soccer has grown from those humble beginnings to now challenge and even overtake the already well-established football codes of AFL, Rugby Union, Rugby League and netball and the other ball games. It is now the most played outdoor team sport in Australia and ranks in the top 10 for television audience. A recent audit in 2013 by the Sporting Authority Gemba found that 1.96 million Australians were actively involved in the game as a player, and when coaches or referees are included. And families, that involvement is around 3.1 million, higher than any other sport in Australia. At the junior level, Roy Morgan polls suggest that soccer overtook swimming as the most popular sporting activity among Australian kids, with 1 in 2 children aged 6 to 13 now playing it. I say that again, 1 in 2 children aged 6 to 13 now playing football. Furthermore, this research showed that the number of women playing can only make the code stronger in the future. But soccer players don't just rely on their sheer brute strength like the other football codes require, and it is arguably the most graceful of all the codes, which is why it has been called the beautiful game. My 2 boys, despite me trying to angle them towards rugby league, have ended up playing football, and they love it. They love it. This year, one of my sons was going to switch to one of the rugby codes, but after I spent a couple of weeks showing him what tackling involved, he decided to stick with soccer for another year, but we might see what happens in the future. And I think that's the nature of the modern Australia, that people can go along to an Aussie rules game, but then the next day go and see a game of soccer. I see that with the families I deal with in my electorate. I can only marvel at the top soccer players' skills, but I know that these skills have been refined and improved from the junior level, and I see the way that my children are coached. The skills are broken down, and it's not just a hit or miss, it's very much a methodical approach to imparting these skills. We see it with the Socceroos and Matildas as their heroes as they start their soccer journey by joining their local soccer club. In my electorate, there are a number of strong and vibrant junior and senior soccer clubs who offer an outlet for players. I mentioned the Olympic Football Club, Oxley United, Tarragindi Tigers, South United, the El Salvador, Mount Gravatt Hawks, Acacia Ridge, Annerley Recreation, the Holland Park Hawks and Brisbane Knights, to name just a few. Football Federation Australia is to be commended for overseeing the growth of the game at all levels, particularly amongst girls, as well as implementing the many positive community programs which encourage participation. Also give that message about healthy, active living and about being an active member of a team, about integrating with people from different countries. I see that in the clubs that my children play in, and also they boost community spirit.